Hey folks, we're going to take a quick look at Sir Philip Sidney's Sonnet 39 and answer all the questions that you had from the work over the weekend. So, Sir Philip Sidney, just to recall, and this is going to help you answer one of your questions, was in love with a woman named Penelope Devereux. She ditched him and married Robert Rich, the Earl of Warwick, even though they were engaged. And he never got over it, wrote a whole sonnet sequence called Astrophil and Stella, which is star lover and star. And that's going to answer the question about how this is connected to his life. But let's read the sonnet and go through it. Come sleep, O sleep, the certain knot of peace, the baiting place of wit, the balm of woe, the poor man's wealth, the prisoner's release, the indifferent judge between the high and low, with shield of proof shield me out from the priest of those fierce darts, despair at me doth throw. O make in me those civil wars to cease, I will good tribute pay, if thou do so. Take thou of me smooth pillows, sweetest bed, a chamber deaf to noise and blind to light, a rosy garland and a weary head, and if these things as being thine by right, move not thy heavy grace, thou shalt in me, livelier than elsewhere, Stella's image see. So the first question that I asked was, why is this an apostrophe? And who is Sidney talking to? Remember, an apostrophe is talking to something that cannot respond. The answers are pretty simple here. It starts out, come sleep, oh sleep. Okay? So he's talking to sleep. You ever get so tired that you start bargaining with sleep? You start looking at the clock and you're like, oh God, I only have 4 hours left until I have to wake up. Please just let me go to sleep. Oh no, it's only 2 hours. So he's bargaining with sleep. This whole poem is addressed to sleep. That's what makes it an apostrophe. Sleep's not going to respond. There's no response possible with sleep. So yeah, it's an apostrophe directed at sleep. Next, we also asked for the rhyme scheme, so we can do that. Let me make sure we're all at the. Ooh, I guess I have to go one more. Let's take a look at the rhyme scheme and then figure out how this splits into octaves and sestets and all those kinds of things. So peace is an A, it's your first rhyme. Woe does not rhyme with peace, so that's a B. Release is an A, low is a B. Priest is going to rhyme with peace. Throw is a B. Cease is an A, so is a B. Bed is brand new, that's a C. Light is a D. Bed, head, yeah, C. Right is going to go with light, that's D. Me and C. Brand new. So how is this poem broken up? Well, you got an octave, that's 8 lines, A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B. You got a quatrain, C, D, C, D, and you got a couplet, E, E. So that's how this thing is broken up. We could take a look at each in turn and try and identify some of the other things. But before we do anything else, I think I asked you about sound devices. So you need to find 3 examples of alliteration. They're all over the place. Come sleep, oh sleep, the certain knot of peace. I mean, you could say sleep, sleep, and certain all have the S sound. The baiting place of wit, the balm of woe. We've got baiting and balm in this line at the same time that we have wit and woe. So you have 2 pair. 3 of a kind in the first line, 2 pair in this line. The poor man's wealth, the prisoner's release. We've got poor and prisoner. The indifferent judge between the high and low. Nope, nothing there. With shield of proof, shield me out from the priest. Nope. Of those fierce darts, despair at me doth throw. We've got darts, despair, and doth. We've already got the 3 we're looking for to answer the question. Oh, make in me those civil wars to cease. We got make and me. That's 2. And civil and cease. We got 2 pair here. They both are an S sound with that C. I will good tribute pay if thou do so. Take thou of me smooth pillows, sweetest bed. We got smooth and sweetest. But meh. A chamber deaf to noise and blind to light. Nope. A rosy garland and a weary head. Nope. And if these things, thine, all of this is the same sound. These things, oops. Thine, we got that. And move not thy heavy grace, thou shalt in me livelier than elsewhere, Stella's image see. All right, so those are your personifications. Then we're looking at consonants, sounds at the ends of words. Come sleep, oh sleep, the certain not a peace. I don't have one there. The baiting place of wit, the balm of woe. Don't see anything there. The poor man's wealth, the prisoner's release. We got man's, prisoners, that's another S sound, and release has an S sound. So we've got one there. The indifferent judge between the high and low, with shield of proof, shield me from out the priest. Yeah, nope. Of those, that's an S sound. Fierce, that's an S sound. Darts, that's an S sound. Despair at me doth throw. So we've got a second set of consonants there. Oh, make in me those civil wars to cease. We got those, another S sound. Wars, an S sound. And cease, an S sound. So there's another consonants there. I will good tribute pay if thou do so. Take thou of me smooth pillows, sweetest bed, meh. A chamber deaf to noise and blind to light. Got and is a D sound, and blind is a D sound, but I don't know that there's anything else. It's just only two of a kind. It's not great. A rosy garland. We got garland, and which is a D sound, and head, which is a D sound. We got three of those. And if these things, that's S's, as being thine by right, as that's your third one. Move not thy heavy grace, thou shalt in me livelier than elsewhere. Livelier is an R sound, and elsewhere is an R sound. Stella's image C. All right, so we've got a fair amount of consonants here. Now, what about assonance? Assonance a little harder to find because it's got that vowel sounds, and vowel sounds are very different. You could say sleep is a hard E sound, and obviously sleep again is a hard E sound. And peace, E, it's a hard E sound, so that one's pretty straightforward. Baiting place, ace of wit, the bomb, no, that's a different A sound. Of woe, the poor man's wealth, the prisoner's release, there's a, nope. The indifferent judge between the high and low, meh. With shield, yield of proof, shield me. All right, well, we got shield and shield, which is, you know, with. I don't know why I'm bolding these, but I feel like we have too many underlines, so I'm gonna bold these. How did I bold and italic something at the same time? But, you know, so we got that, but then we got me, which is a hard E sound, and priest, which is a hard E sound. Of those fierce darts, despair at me doth throw. You got these O's that are sort of the same sound in there. Oh, make in me those civil wars to cease. E and cease have the same vowel sound. I will good tribute pay if thou, I'll do so. Do and so have the same. And good, ood, ooh. No, ooh, it's not good. Ow, yep. Take thou of me smooth pillows, sweetest bed. A chamber deaf to noise and blind to light. Noise, bind, and it are the same hard I sound. You can hear I in both of those. A rosy garland. Rosy is an E sound. And a weary, that's an E sound. Now, some of you might have put that down for consonants. It's not, because it's an E sound. And that's a vowel. And if these things as being, so we got a hard E in these, and a hard E is in being. Thine is a hard I sound. And right is a hard I sound. And by is a hard I sound. So we got hard I sounds there. Move not thy heavy grace. Thou shalt in me. Heavy is a E sound. And me is an E sound. Livelier than elsewhere, Stella's image C. All right, I don't see anything really going on there. So those are all your sound devices, pretty straightforward. Then we asked for what metaphors. The whole thing starts out with a series of metaphors. Come sleep, oh sleep, the certain not of peace. So essentially what's missing here, what's implied is, right? It's not in the poem, but he's saying sleep is the certain not of peace. What does that mean? Well, at the end of a long day, sleep ties everything together for you. It's a knot that brings you peace. You got all these loose ends, but they all come together in sleep. It's the sleep is the baiting place of wit, meaning the place where you go to refresh your wit. You ever been so tired you're dumb? Like you start losing coherent thought. Where do you go to refresh your thoughts? Well, you go to sleep. The balm of woe. A balm is something you put on burns, and woe is so a balm is like an ointment, and woe is sorrows and sadness. How do you make your sorrows and sadness feel better? Go to sleep. It's going to make you feel better, at least temporarily. So sleep is the poor man's wealth. This idea is, I think, a really interesting one. It's sort of a paradox, or you could probably use it for your oxymoron. I'd probably accept it. The idea here is that sleep is the wealth of the poor man. That's weird because the poor man doesn't have any wealth. So it's an illogical or impossible statement. But the idea behind it is that when you're asleep, you're just as rich as a rich man. It doesn't matter whether you're poor or rich. You're both rich in your dreams. You can both be free and have the same experience. It's something that equalizes the rich and the poor, is the ability to go to sleep and dream. He calls it the prisoner's release. Again, the idea here is you have one freedom in jail, and that's to sleep. And in your dreams, you're free. You do whatever it is you want to do. So, and in some sort of a metaphorical way, it's a release from your prison cell. So we've got a whole bunch of metaphors here. I think I was asking for two. He also calls sleep the indifferent judge between the high and the low, meaning sleep does not make any kind of judgment. It's indifferent between high and low people who are of noble birth or people who are peasants. It doesn't matter. Sleep treats them all equally. So sleep is this great equalizer. It's a thing that all human beings, regardless of station or rank or wealth or freedom, they all experience the same. So that's all a series of metaphors. And that's pretty straightforward. I also asked you to find an oxymoron, and your first one is right here. Indifferent judge. Somebody who's indifferent is making no judgments. They don't care. They're indifferent. Whereas a judge is somebody who has to make a decision. And so to say the indifferent judge, those two things are opposites, and that's an oxymoron. So you could use that for your oxymoron if you wanted to. He says, next, with shield of proof. Proof in this case means proven strength, like it's a well-proven shield. Shield me from out of the priest. Priest is an old word for press, like a crowd. Of those fierce darts despair at me doth throw. So here's your personification. He's got despair throwing darts at him. But here's also your symbol. The darts are symbolic of his sorrowful thoughts. Remember, he's in love with Penelope Devereux, and she's married to Lord Rich, and he's trying to go to sleep right at night, and he can't sleep. Why? Well, because he's like, I wonder what Penelope's up to right? And these thoughts are sort of personified as darts or symbolized as darts that are coming to stab him in the heart. All of these thoughts, one after another. And what is the thing that's going to shield him or save him from having these terrible thoughts? Well, the answer is sleep. So there's another symbol. The shield itself symbolizes sleep, or the protection for him. And this is really interesting because this was written so long ago, before like modern I don't want to say it, before modern psychology or anything like that. But clearly, I think Sidney is suffering from depression. And one of the major symptoms of depression is a desire to sleep, because sleep is an escape from the realities, the difficulties, the emotions of our lives. And if we could just sleep, we could avoid them all. And Sidney definitely wants to go to sleep because he recognizes that sleep is an escape for him. Then he says, oh, making me those civil wars to cease. Again, another sort of symbolic representation. There's a civil war going on inside of him. It's that constant war that we all have between our heart and our head. His head is like, dude, it's over. She married somebody else. But his heart is like, but I love her, right? And so he's having this struggle between the two of them. And you know what's going to create an armistice? It's going to stop the civil war between his head and his heart? Sleep, right? Again, during sleep, that battle can't go on. So now he gets to the stage where he's bargaining with sleep. I will good tribute pay if you do so. If you let me go to sleep, I'll pay you, right? And that brings us to the quatrain. This is the bartering with sleep bit. Take thou of me smooth pillow, sweetest bed. He's been giving offerings to sleep. Look, I got the softest bed I could find, the nicest pillow. I'm ready to go to sleep. I'm doing everything I can to appease you. A chamber deaf to noise and blind to light. That's another personification. His chamber is so quiet that it's deaf to noise. It's so dark that it's blind to light. But a chamber can't be deaf or blind. That's obviously giving human traits to a chamber, a room, an inanimate object. A rosy garland and a weary head. So he's offering his exhaustion to sleep, and the rosy garland is probably to make his room smell nice. And if these things, as being yours by right, then he gets down here, move not your heavy grace. Here's your next oxymoron. Grace is seen as something that's light and when somebody's graceful, but sleep has a heavy grace. I think he's using the other interpretation or meaning of grace, which is like when it's given to you by like God or a deity, God's grace or whatever. But in this case, sleep's grace. And the heavy grace of sleep is to make your eyelids heavy and make you fall asleep. And so he's asking for sleep to come to him, right? This whole poem has been asking for sleep to come to him. And at the end, he says, you shall in me livelier than elsewhere Stella's image see. So the last bit is a resolution, but it's also like turning the meaning of the poem upside down and on its head. He ends this with this idea that sleep, if everything I've offered you is not enough, then the final bargaining chip I have for you is, if you let me go to sleep, I'll dream of Stella, I'll dream of Penelope, and you'll be able to see her in my dreams. Livelier than elsewhere, by the way. So like he thinks that his dreams of her are better than anyone else's, including Lord Rich, who's married to her. So what's interesting about this is the entire poem is about how he wants to go to sleep to get away from his sorrows, to get away from his feelings of despair having to do with Penelope. But at the end, it is revealed in that last couplet that the real reason he wants to go to sleep is to dream about her, because in his dreams, she's still with him. In his dreams, they're not separated. Right. And so it sort of throws into disarray everything that came before, or undermines the entire message of the poem. But I think it's a strong poem anyway. This is a great poem about how sleep is the great equalizer. And it is this great tool that lets us forget our troubles, at least for a time. And I also think that, being a poem to teach sonnets to high schoolers is a great one, because who doesn't love sleep? I feel like, it's a time of your life when sleep is most prized. And I think for a lot of these reasons too. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the poem. I hope you got everything that you needed to get out of it. That theme at the end, that sleep is this thing that makes all people equal and that can solve your problems, at least temporarily, is sort of your lesson or your theme. Although some people might argue that this idea of a chamber deaf to noise and blind to light might actually be a reference to death or suicide. Some people have suggested that. There's some interpretations that look at it that way. I really think he's just talking about a darkened room, but you could probably make that argument. Anyway, I'm going to shut this down, and we can watch it and go over it in class. Thanks.